As Chancellor of the University, I declare this congregation open for the conferring of degrees by the authority of the Senate and the Council.
As Vice-Chancellor, I'm delighted to welcome you all to this degree congregation. It is a celebration for all those who graduate today. We celebrate your many achievements that culminate in the award of a degree from a major international research-led university. Now, I'm sure it must be several years since you last studied a University of Leicester prospectus. And during that time, we've changed quite a bit. And one of the reasons we've changed is because of the contributions that everyone in this hall has made to the development of the university. We've now increased in size so that we are a university of approximately 17,000 students. But not only have we increased in size, but we've increased in intellectual stature. So what is the evidence for that? First, as far as research is concerned, we are in the top 20 UK universities for research awards. And at Easter this year, we were delighted to find that the Financial Times had named us as the leading provider of postgraduate master's courses in the UK. In terms of teaching, we are regularly reviewed by external groups for the Quality Assurance Agency. In the last 10 visits to Leicester to evaluate teaching, all our departments have been awarded a mark that equates to excellent. And from that point of view, both teaching staff and students are to be congratulated on that excellent record. Now, in these terms, research and teaching are fundamental to the development of a university education. And I am sure that your experience in Leicester will have brought you into contact with leading researchers and scholars in their respective disciplines. For research and critical analysis informs excellent teaching and extends the boundaries of the world that we explore in our research activities and in our courses. In turn, I firmly believe that those kinds of developments will assist you to solve problems in the years ahead. I also feel that this knowledge that you have acquired and the skills and attributes that are acquired by Leicester graduates will allow you to play a full role in a knowledge-based economy. But how do the two faculties that are graduating this afternoon contribute to this record in the university? Certainly, in the Faculty of Arts, we were delighted to learn that the Reverend Professor Richard Bonney has received one of the highest grants to a scholar in the humanities, valued at just over £1 million, to study religion in a plural society. And alongside the record in the history department, we were also delighted that in the field of museum studies, the Department of Museum Studies obtained a mark of 24 out of 24 in respect of teaching excellence. If we turn to the physical sciences, we find that our Department of Physics and Astronomy have been at the very heart of the development of the National Space Centre that opened in Leicester 10 days ago. It is a £52 million Millennium Project and owes its place in the city of Leicester to the imagination of members of staff in the physics department who had the commitment and the vision to think about how one put together a bid with the City Council in order to bring this national development to the city. I do hope that those of you who are visiting our city on the period of the degree congregations will take the opportunity to go and visit the National Space Centre, or if not, to come back another time and do so. But in the Faculty of Science, there is also much more, and I would point this afternoon to our mathematical modelling group. that has engaged in a range of new projects and where the university has decided to use money from the Science Research Investment Fund in order to develop research activity in that particular field. These are but a small number of examples of the way in which the university is committed to high-quality teaching and research. Indeed, all departments throughout our university continue to develop research and teaching to the highest possible standard. Even when we have achieved marks of excellence, we do not feel that it ends there. It is rather a good platform from which to engage in a whole range of further developments. At the moment, we see that we are engaged in new initiatives and new developments within the region by creating foundation degrees. These are the new 2-year degree programmes that the government have sponsored among a network of 21 universities. And we were delighted that the University of Leicester takes its place alongside some other major institutions in the UK in order to develop new programmes for classroom assistants, which we are doing with Bishop Grosseteste College in Lincoln, and also another series of programmes in security and risk management. We are developing our links with companies and are very proud that one of our strongest links is with Rolls-Royce in Derby. Again, it is a good foundation on which to build links with many other companies. The research activity in which our staff are engaged spawns short courses and advanced training, and this is another area in which the university intends to do much more. But then there's also the way in which distance learning provision has developed in the university over the last 10 years, so that some 5,000 students now study at master's level with us, but not being present in the city of Leicester, but studying with us at a distance. This demonstrates to me that those of you graduating today need not think this is the end of your life with the University of Leicester, but rather opens up an opportunity. We won't be waiting at the door to sign you on, but we should certainly be very eager to see you come back in your professional careers in order to train through master's courses that we offer at a distance. And indeed, parents, friends, and other supporters who may feel left out of this, I can assure you that if you wish to sign up for a distance learning degree with the University of Leicester, this could be arranged before the end of this week. In this sense, this university makes lifelong learning a living reality. But in turn, there are challenges and opportunities that lie ahead for us. As a university, we need to play our part in achieving the very tough recruitment targets that have been set by government, whereby 50% of the population aged 18 to 30 is set to experience some form of higher education by the year 2010. The University of Leicester must achieve all its student recruitment targets in order to demonstrate that it can be an effective university making its contribution in that area. Secondly, we need to meet the challenge of reduced budgets that face every university. Despite the comprehensive spending review, there is still a massive funding gap in higher education that needs to be closed. This is not a plea just to government to fund, but also to say we have to engage in self-help. We have to be innovative. We have to take on new courses, new developments, and new research in order to generate new income streams for the university. Not only does it generate new income streams, it also, in my view, makes for a more exciting university in which one is a member. Thirdly, we need to develop new forms of learning through multimedia delivery. And in that sense, Leicester stands ready to meet the challenges of the e-university. We also need to continue to develop and enhance our networks that are important to us regionally, nationally, and internationally. Certainly, at this stage, the University of Leicester has much to contribute, as it moves into the 80th year since higher education was first provided on our campus in University Road. Finally, I would like to turn to those who graduate today and to congratulate you and your teachers on all the degrees that have been obtained in this particular year. As a year group, the class of 2001 had pushed the standard even higher. And from that point of view, the class of 2001 graduate with a series of very high-quality degrees, which results in those of us in the university being very proud of you. We hope that as we develop the university in the years to come, you will be very proud of the university from which you graduate today. Certainly, we would like you to keep in touch with the university and with the departments, and I shall certainly look forward to seeing you at alumni events, given that you automatically become members of the Leicester Alumni Association. But before I sit down, I should tell you, although probably some of your colleagues in the Faculty of Arts have already told you, I started a little competition this morning, and that is, the competition is fairly simple. It's which faculty or combination of faculties can applaud loudest and longest. I can tell you the competition from arts this morning, very poor. Very poor. Not strong enough, really, but I'm very confident on the people from arts this afternoon. And the problem is you've got to beat medicine on Friday. That's real competition, as anyone who's ever been here will tell you. So what I'd like you to do is to demonstrate how good you are at applause in your two particular faculties, and to join me in showing your appreciation to your parents, relatives, friends and sponsors, all the people who have supported you through university. So I would now ask you, as the graduating class of 2001, to join me in a round of applause for all those people who've supported you through your time at university and all the way through schools and colleges. That's pretty good. It sounds to me like you're going to be tough competition for the rest of the week, but you've got to keep that going all the way through the ceremony. So have a terrific afternoon, have a very enjoyable day, applaud your fellow students, and all good wishes to you all for your future careers.
It is my task to introduce you to Hugh Greenwood, upon whom we are today conferring an honorary degree in absentia in recognition of his contribution to child health worldwide. Hugh Greenwood was born in 1912 and was one of 5 children. His father was killed in 1917, leaving his mother to bring up 5 children alone. Hugh matriculated at the local grammar school with highest marks in all subjects. At the age of 19, he established his own company in the construction industry and formed it into a private limited company in 1936. The company was successful, and over time, a substantial portfolio of investment property was put together. Hugh Greenwood remains chairman of this company. Hugh Greenwood's interest in paediatric research came about in 1961 when he was invited to visit the final stages of the construction of the new 6-storey Institute of Child Health, which adjoins the Great Ormond Street Children's Hospital. He met Professor Sir Alan Moncrieff, Professor of Paediatrics at Great Ormond Street, who explained the difficulties of securing funding for child health research. Hugh Greenwood decided to do something about this. In 1962, he founded the Children's Research Fund. and drew around it distinguished trustees: Viscount Astor, the Earl of Derby, Lord Cohen of Birkenhead, who was at the time President of the General Medical Council, and Sir Douglas Glover MP. Fundraising was successful, and Sir Alan Moncrieff reaped the rewards of his conversation with Hugh Greenwood when most of the research expenses in paediatrics at Great Ormond Street were met by the fund. In 1965, Hugh Greenwood had a 7-minute audience with the Queen at the official opening of the Great Ormond Street facility. The Queen inquired whether the fund would help children of the Commonwealth and other developing countries. Again, a seed had been sown. Hugh Greenwood established Children's Research International as a second charity. Hugh Greenwood has provided at his own expense all the staff needed to run these two charities. Over the years, the list of projects supported by the two charities runs to many pages. There are buildings at 5 United Kingdom universities, overseas projects worldwide, and 6 pages of single-space typescript are needed to list all the research programs supported by the charities. Hugh Greenwood is a private man who dislikes publicity. He is protective of his own privacy and that of his family. But he is passionately committed to using his wealth and skills to support the cause of child health through the two charities. His success in these endeavours has brought awards unsought but richly deserved. An OBE in 1970, honorary degrees from the University of Exeter and the University of the Philippines, and fellowships of the British Paediatric Association, of the Institute of Child Health of the University of London, and of the Royal College of Paediatrics and Child Health. The university has been a recipient of benefactions from the Children's Research Fund to support the work of the Division of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry, which was founded in June 1986 with the appointment of Professor Rory Nicholl, Foundation Professor of Child Psychiatry. The division was originally accommodated in the Leicester Royal Infirmary as part of the Department of Psychiatry, and moved to the Greenwood Institute of Child Health when it officially opened in October 1993 on the site of the outpatient base of the Leicestershire Child and Family Mental Health Service. This was an academic development supported by the University of Leicester, the Leicestershire and Rutland NHS Trust, and the Institute benefactor, Hugh Greenwood. The division has responsibilities in teaching and research. It organises and teaches the undergraduate child psychiatry curriculum, is involved in teaching on other related parts of the medical curriculum, and actively supports and participates the postgraduate teaching programme in child mental health. It is engaged in research in child mental health and related areas. Hugh Greenwood is a man who makes a difference, and whose support for work in child health at the University of Leicester and worldwide we are delighted to recognise today. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I invite you to confer upon Hugh Greenwood the honorary degree of Doctor of Laws, and I present to you Panos Vostanis, Professor of Child and Adolescent Psychiatry and Director of the Greenwood Institute of Child Health in the University of Leicester, who will accept the award on behalf of Dr. Greenwood.
I admit Hugh Greenwood with the degree of Doctor of Laws. I ask you to accept the award on his behalf. Give it to him. Congratulations.
I am very honoured to receive the award on Dr. Greenwood's behalf because numerous researchers, students and clinicians in our field of child health research are grateful for his generous support over the years, and it is now our responsibility to translate this support into clear benefits for children with a variety of health problems, particularly in my field of mental health, and their families. As Dr. Greenwood was unable to attend because of ill health today, he has kindly asked me to read the following statement on his behalf. It was a very great pleasure for me to be offered a degree of Honorary Doctor of Laws by the University of Leicester, and I offer my sincere thanks to the Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, and the Senate for their kindness and generosity. It has also given me great pleasure to observe the progress that has been made by the Greenwood Institute of Child Health under the direction of Professor Rory Nicol and currently Professor Panos Vostanis. I have not added this sentence myself, he has written. And to know that the Institute now has an international reputation. I also have an interest in another department of psychiatry at the Chinese University of Hong Kong, because one of the Chinese students who I have helped over a number of years, Patrick Lung, is now the professor of psychiatry and head of the Department of Psychiatry at the university. One day he may visit our institute to compare notes. And while I mention Hong Kong, I must not forget to mention the young Hong Kong student who, with my support at Liverpool and Oxford, over a 13-year period, has now achieved the position of Professor of Pediatric Surgery at the University of Hong Kong. He is Professor Paul Tam. I established the Children's Research Fund in 1962 because of the lack of funds for child health research. I'm pleased to say that research has been financed since that time at most institutes of child health and university departments of child health throughout the country, and the improvement in child health over the past 40 years has been due in no small measure to these research projects and the dedication of research doctors who so often have worked without recognition and appreciation. Overseas research work has given me a great deal of satisfaction, particularly meeting so many young people who are so eager to learn and so eager to help improve the health of children in their own countries. This has given me the opportunity of visiting some fascinating countries and of meeting a tremendous number of wonderful and caring people. And I'm pleased to say that the work on overseas projects still continues. Many young people here have graduated this year, and I'm pleased to have the opportunity of wishing them every success in their chosen careers. My renewed thanks to the Chancellor, Vice-Chancellor, and the Senate.
The graduands in the Faculty of Arts will be presented by the Dean, Professor Pearce. Will all graduands in the faculty please stand?
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Arts to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Graduands of the Faculty of Arts, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Safar Abdel Salam.
Congratulations.
Garrick Fincham. Irene Schrufer-Kolb. For the degree of Master of Arts in Archaeology and Heritage, Carol Donado.
Congratulations.
Arnon Golan.
Congratulations.
Prabha Kawai.
Congratulations.
Steve Cohntop.
Congratulations.
Craig Lesh.
Congratulations.
Gary Falia Patsiadu.
Congratulations.
Corrie Richards.
Congratulations.
Elsbeth Rietbergen.
Congratulations.
Alistair Roach.
Congratulations.
Al Spencer.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Arts in Museum Studies, Amy Barnes.
Congratulations.
Karen Belshaw.
Congratulations.
David Blake.
Congratulations.
Maria Boyce Taylor.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Braby.
Congratulations.
Helen Brace.
Congratulations.
David Broom.
Congratulations.
Michael Kavanagh.
Congratulations.
Graham Charlton.
Congratulations.
Sung Mi Chi.
Congratulations.
Heather Colclough.
Congratulations.
Samantha Craig.
Congratulations.
Christina Damilano.
Congratulations.
Sean Davis.
Congratulations.
Oliver Douglas.
Congratulations.
Nicola Doyle.
Congratulations.
Melanie Edwards.
Congratulations.
Angela Eilering.
Congratulations.
Areti Galani.
Congratulations.
Wendy Goodridge.
Congratulations.
Alexandra Havelock.
Congratulations.
Rachel Hewitt.
Congratulations.
Jane Hill.
Congratulations.
Sarah Jennings.
Congratulations.
Susie Jones.
Congratulations.
Fiona Keaton.
Congratulations.
Jack Kirby.
Congratulations.
Louise Kirkby.
Congratulations.
Alison Lightbourne.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Lim.
Congratulations.
Geraldine Lowe.
Congratulations.
Janet Maltby.
Congratulations.
Helen McAneny.
Congratulations.
Andrew McClellan.
Congratulations.
Mayuko Ono.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Owen.
Congratulations.
Tony Parker.
Congratulations.
Matthew Parks.
Congratulations.
Sarah Pearson.
Congratulations.
Carolina Pilar Soto.
Congratulations.
Francoise Phillips.
Congratulations.
Catherine Pickles.
Congratulations.
Astrida Ragule.
Congratulations.
Vivienne Rudd.
Congratulations.
Tracy Ruddle.
Congratulations.
Emma Rumins.
Congratulations.
Andrew Sandel.
Congratulations.
Rachel Silverson.
Congratulations.
Anna Smith.
Congratulations.
Sophia Starthy.
Congratulations.
Gail Stewart Bye.
Congratulations.
Paul Stonehall.
Congratulations.
Claire Sutton.
Congratulations.
Paul Taylor.
Congratulations.
Caroline Van Santen.
Congratulations.
Rachel Vincent.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Wallace.
Congratulations.
Cynthia Wu.
Congratulations.
Amanda Young.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Ancient History and Archaeology, Louise Beard.
Congratulations.
Liam Beaton.
Congratulations.
Siobhan Brocklehurst.
Congratulations.
Stephen Greer.
Congratulations.
Claire Jackson.
Congratulations.
Philip Kelly.
Congratulations.
Candice Cutner. Keith Mullen.
Congratulations.
Rosemary Peck.
Congratulations.
Lisa Staves.
Congratulations.
Miranda Ward.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Ancient History and Archaeology International, Trudy Williams.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Archaeology, Helen Bobbitt.
Congratulations.
Jessica Bonney.
Congratulations.
Victoria Burgess.
Congratulations.
Sarah Charlesworth.
Congratulations.
Kate Eleanor.
Congratulations.
Ricky Finch.
Congratulations.
Nicola Foster.
Congratulations.
Heather Garrett.
Congratulations.
Rebecca George.
Congratulations.
Karen Greaves.
Congratulations.
Louise Hurd.
Congratulations.
Rachel Hobbs.
Congratulations.
Nicola Hughes. Nicholas Parker.
Congratulations.
Kirsty Sanders.
Congratulations.
Caroline Smith.
Congratulations.
Thomas Spencer.
Congratulations.
Beth Story.
Congratulations.
Claire Strachan.
Congratulations.
Nicola Temple.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Archaeology, European Union, Donna Hatfield.
Never mind. Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Archaeology and Sociology, Mary Collis. Julia Field.
Got them right now, don't you?
Edward Lewis.
Congratulations.
Amy Moore.
Congratulations.
Andrew O'Reilly.
Well done.
Thomas Pearsall.
Congratulations.
James Pearson.
Congratulations.
Alexandra Pickering.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in Geography, Rachel Allbone.
Congratulations.
Emma Bennett.
Congratulations.
Anna Blackburn.
Congratulations.
Catherine Bowden.
Congratulations.
Helen Bowker.
Congratulations.
Geraldine Boylan.
Congratulations.
Madeline Bradnam.
Congratulations.
Matthew Brewer.
Congratulations.
Pamela Burrows.
Congratulations.
Matthew Cracknell.
Congratulations.
Christopher Davis.
Congratulations.
Gethin Davison. Laura Egglestone.
Congratulations.
Robert Fowers.
Congratulations.
Chris Harwood.
Congratulations.
Zoe Haywood.
Congratulations.
Ruth Heslett.
Congratulations.
Louise Holland.
Congratulations.
Penelope Jameson.
Congratulations.
David Jones.
Popular chap, huh?
Cheryl Joyner.
Congratulations.
Adele Kent.
Congratulations.
Adam Kidman.
Congratulations.
Tania Labiche.
Congratulations.
Helen Lawton.
Congratulations.
Nicola Lees.
Congratulations.
Sonia Lois.
Congratulations.
Chloe Merriman.
Congratulations.
Dale Moore.
Congratulations.
Thomas Moran.
Congratulations.
Keira Murphy.
Congratulations.
David Newbury.
Congratulations.
Helen Osman.
Congratulations.
Mark Payne.
Congratulations.
James Paul.
Congratulations.
Lorna Payne.
Congratulations.
Amy Pluck.
Congratulations.
Jane Proctor.
Congratulations.
Jasbinder Sangar.
Congratulations.
Hilary Sheriff. David Smith.
Congratulations.
Duncan Toogood.
Congratulations.
Jonathan Tucker.
Congratulations.
Neil Vokes. Louise Wade.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Walters.
Congratulations.
Robert Ward.
Congratulations.
David Westhead.
Congratulations.
Russell Weston.
Congratulations.
Andrew Young.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History of Art, Joanna Baker.
Congratulations.
Christina Bradstreet.
Congratulations.
Stacey Coles.
Congratulations.
Catherine Davis.
Congratulations.
Kelly Dimmock.
Congratulations.
Rebecca Donaghy Sutton.
Congratulations. Well
Rosamond Finlay Picks.
done. Congratulations.
Claire Gaunt.
Congratulations.
Joanna Hannah Grindle. Maxine Hodgson.
Congratulations.
Rachel Holy.
Congratulations. Well done.
Sophia Ingham.
Congratulations. Well done.
Emma Lister.
Congratulations.
Leonie Murphy.
Congratulations.
Francesca Parisi Davis.
Congratulations.
Davida Saunders.
Congratulations.
Emily Saunders.
Congratulations.
Beth Twin.
Congratulations.
Liana Westermark.
Congratulations.
Honor Westmacott.
Congratulations.
Nathan Wiles.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Arts in History of Art, European Union, Madeleine Barnard.
Congratulations.
Julie Dickinson.
Congratulations.
Claire Dobbin.
Congratulations.
Andrea Jones.
Congratulations.
Lucy Knock.
Congratulations.
Jane Lander.
Congratulations.
Emma Lowry.
Congratulations.
Helen Riley.
Congratulations.
Daniel Valcaral Ortiz.
Congratulations.
Amintha Wickremasa Singh.
Congratulations. Well done.
Helen Williams.
Congratulations. Well done.
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Our honorand, Professor Colin Humphreys, started his academic life in 1960 as a physics undergraduate at Imperial College London, where he went on to win the Royal Society of Arts Medal as the most outstanding science student of his year. From Imperial, he went in 1963 to the Cavendish Laboratory in Cambridge to complete his PhD in physics, before moving to Oxford for postdoctoral research and subsequently a lectureship in the Department of Metallurgy. In 1985, he left Oxford for Liverpool University to take up his post of professor and head of the Department of Materials Science and Engineering. 5 years later, he was invited back to Cambridge to become Professor of Materials Science and a year later, Head of the Department of Materials Science and Metallurgy. In the course of his career, he has received numerous awards for his research. He has received, for example, the Rosenheim Medal and Prize of the Institute of Metals, the Reginald Mitchell Medal, Reginald Mitchell being the designer of the legendary Spitfire, and he has also been awarded the Elegant Work Prize of the Institute of Materials, the Kelvin Medal and the Prize from the Institute of Physics, and the Gold Medal of the Federation of European Materials and Societies. Along the way, he has shown a capacity for prolific research output, with the publication of more than 400 papers. However, his research is not only prolific in terms of quantity, it is also unusually broad in its coverage, spanning as it does electronic and optoelectronic materials, high-temperature materials, nanolithography, and superconductivity. A snapshot of his research activities last year tells the scale of his success, with grant income totaling more than £6 million. Yet it is not just the scale but the diversity of the research and the range of the findings that is so impressive. He was, for example, the first person to be able to demonstrate that the entire contents of all 29 volumes of Encyclopaedia Britannica could be placed on a pinhead by the use of an electron beam. Currently, he is working on the development of an almost everlasting light bulb made from a new material called gallium nitride. In addition, he's working on a new generation of materials for the aero industry, with a view to facilitating faster, more fuel-efficient air travel. And also, he's developing techniques in cutting channels into silicon to contain single molecules of DNA, something which could lead to very rapid DNA sequencing. In recent years, Professor Humphreys has held a particular interest in furthering the public understanding of science and engineering. In this capacity, in 1997, he became the Institute of Physics' Fellow in the Public Understanding of Physics, and a year later, President of the Physics Section of the British Association for the Advancement of Science. He regularly contributes to media discussions in the UK on the topic of science, and also abroad, where, for example, the Australian Academy of Science appointed him their Selby Fellow to promote science in each of the 7 major cities in Australia. He has also been highly influential in promoting UK research into materials. Dismayed at what he perceived to be the low-level and fragmented funding for this research in the 1980s, he set to work to remedy the situation. In 1988, he was appointed the first chair of the Materials Commission of the Science and Engineering Research Council. In the 4 years of his chairmanship, the research budget allocation to universities rose from just £14 million a year to in excess of £40 million, an all the more remarkable feat given the almost static science budget of that period. The knock-on effect of this research boost was to greatly benefit UK materials science, much of which is performed in physics and chemistry departments across the land. In what Professor Humphreys refers to as his non-existent spare time, he enjoys working on challenging problems which require the use of a combination of science, ancient history, and religion. In 1985, he wrote a book published by Oxford University Press on creation and evolution. It has since been widely adopted in schools and has even been translated into Chinese. Also, in his non-existent spare time, he has written an article for the journal Nature dating the crucifixion, and has published in the leading Old Testament journal Vetus Testamentum, estimating the numbers of people involved in the Exodus from Egypt. As with the encyclopedic pinhead, he again made history, since these articles were the first ever to include mathematical equations in Vetus Testamentum. His current challenge is to write a book on the exodus of the ancient Israelites from Egypt, examining the amazing events recorded in the Old Testament. His objective is to use what he calls the searchlights of science, ancient history, geography, and ancient languages to illuminate and reconstruct what really happened. It is a rare person indeed that can be simultaneously the preeminent expert in such diverse fields as the everlasting light and the life everlasting. By any standards, our honorand is a major international figure in academia and research policy making, and a major influence in the public understanding of science. Mr. Chancellor, on the recommendation of the Senate and the Council, I present Colin John Humphreys, that you may confer upon him the honorary degree of Doctor of Science.
Congratulations. Well done.
Vice-Chancellor, Orator, ladies and gentlemen, it's a very great pleasure and a privilege to be here to receive this honorary degree from this great university, which is a world-class university in its research and in its teaching. I'd also like to thank the Orator for his very generous comments. Thank you very much. It's a particular pleasure for me to be here at this afternoon ceremony because, as you have heard from the Orator, although my main work is in physics and chemistry and material science and engineering, my hobbies are in archaeology and ancient history and museums and geography. So it's a particular pleasure to be here at this particular degree ceremony. In case any of you haven't seen any of these light bulbs, which may be not quite everlasting, but may last for 60 years, which is quite a long time, I have some in my pocket if I can bring them out. This is a So this is a material which emits this nice blue light. And if you... Thank you. If you coat it with what is called a white phosphor, then you can get this quite brilliant white light out. And these are also very energy efficient, so they should save energy, save greenhouse emissions, and save your power bills. Let me move on. It's also a particular pleasure to receive this honorary degree from the University of Leicester because my father was born and died in Leicester. He was an engineer, and my grandfather was born and died in Leicester. He was a gardener. And so my fatherland is very much Leicester, so this is an added bonus of being here. 10 years ago, I heard a radio interview which has always remained in my mind, and it was an interview between Norris McWhirter and someone called Joe Erskine. Now, you won't have heard of Joe Erskine, but a number of your parents will have heard of him. He was a very famous heavyweight boxer. And Norris McWhirter was interviewing him because he was living in total poverty and abject poverty. And Norris McWhirter said, "How is it that you are such a famous British heavyweight boxer that you have no money, you're living in poverty?" And Joe Erskine said, "Well," he said, "my manager took all the funding." He said, "I just received about £40,000. And Norris McWhirter said, well, he said, 40 years ago, £40,000 was a lot of money. It's worth about £400,000 today. What happened to that? And Joe Erskine said, well, he said, I spent about £10,000 on booze and about £10,000 on women. And then he paused, and Norris McWhirter said, well, what about the other £20,000? And he thought very hard, and he said, well, he said, I guess I must have squandered that. I'd like to congratulate the students who are all here, all very successfully, for not squandering their time at Leicester, or at least if you did squander your time, you've managed to cover it up very successfully. So many congratulations to you. And as the Vice-Chancellor said, congratulations to your parents as well, who have given of their time and money to bring you this far, to this really very successful day. So this is a really very happy occasion for you and for your parents. And one thing which I can say much more easily than Vice-Chancellor is to thank the university staff here, who successfully, as it were, created this great sea of successful students at a time when it's not easy to do this. It's not that well known, but every year since 1981, the Vice-Chancellor hinted at this, every year since 1981, what's called the unit of resource, that is the amount of money per student that the universities get, has been decreasing. So it's now less than half the amount per student it was at that time. And in 1981, the pupil-teacher ratio in universities was better than it was in sixth form colleges, but now it's about twice as bad, and in addition, your university staff do research as well. So under these really quite difficult circumstances, they've been so successful in teaching you and bringing you through. Finally, to look to the future, let me say something which, again, the Vice-Chancellor cannot easily say, and I thought hard before saying this, but if you look around this audience, a lot of parents here are quite poor or not very well off, but statistically, a few of you will be quite wealthy. And let me gently suggest that you might just consider selling a few stocks and shares which only bring you grief and worry and invest it in the University of Leicester, which is a real investment for the future. And I'm very serious about that. So let me sow this thought in your mind. If you're interested, I'm sure the Vice-Chancellor will be delighted to see you afterwards, or you can write to him. And finally, to students and also to parents, I'd like to quote from an very famous American anthropologist and writer, Margaret Mead, who said, "Never doubt that a small group of thoughtful, committed citizens can change the world. Indeed, it's the only thing which ever has." In fact, I think she's slightly wrong, because it's not just a small group of citizens who can change the world. It's one citizen, it's one person, provided they have a vision. And I think the UK desperately needs people with vision at this present time in all fields of activity, from the small ones to the bigger ones. So to the students here, you are going to be the future of this country. You may not think so now, but you are. You're going to be the future of this country. So when you leave here today, walk tall, think big, and have a vision. And finally, the Vice-Chancellor has called for applause for the parents. I'd like to finish by calling for applause for the university staff. So on behalf of everyone getting a degree today from this great university, could we thank the Vice-Chancellor, thank his staff. Let us wish that the University of Leicester goes from strength to strength, and may it have even greater success in the future. Thank you very much.
Mr. Chancellor, I ask you to admit these candidates from the Faculty of Science to the several degrees for which they are presented. It's Mr.
Patrons of the Faculty of Science, by the authority of the Senate, I admit you to the several degrees for which you are presented.
For the degree of Doctor of Philosophy, Abdullah Al-Sahemi. Lee Bailey. Nicholas Blackwell. Caroline Cox. Adam Davenport. David Fletcher Holmes. David Goodmanson. Rajesh Sangha. Thomas Sheesby. Daniel Turner. For the degree of Master of Science in Earth Observation Science, Antonios Fiamigos. Ashley Seabrook. For the degree of Master of Science in Museum Studies, Ivor Harkin. Peter Howlett. Claire Stringer. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Biological Chemistry, Richard Chester. Kim Curtis. Andrea Fisk. Morag Oliver. Sarah Reeks. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Rajinder Chagar. Anup Patel. Andrew West. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry with a year in Europe, Peter Brown. David Hurst. Cressida Smith. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, Sandwich, Gemma Cancel. Sarah Fulford. For the degree of Master of Chemistry in Chemistry, USA, Stephen Hilton. Timothy Woodcock. For the degree of Master of Physics in Physics, Ian Campbell. Jasvinder Kandula. For the degree of Master of Physics in Physics with Astrophysics, Catherine Banks. Caroline Brinkworth. Jitesh Chauhan. Benjamin Eves. Annette Foe. Robert Goddard Wilcox. Stephen Millwood. James Nussey. Samantha Osborne. Andrew Sargent. Christopher Thomas. Claire Thomas. James Winnie. Melissa Woodcraft. For the degree of Master of Physics in Physics with Space Science and Technology, Grant Allen. Jonathan Connell. Scott England. Fraser Hamilton. Paul Hanlon. Christopher Hopper. Paul Marley. Paul Meller. Jonathan Nichols. Elizabeth Seward. Philip Willis. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Archaeology, Alexander Beacock. Neil Gledhill.
Congratulations.
James Harvey.
Congratulations.
Andrew Hyam.
Congratulations.
Deela Lovecraft.
Congratulations.
Ian Reeds.
Congratulations.
Lowry Thomas.
Congratulations.
Richard Thomas.
Congratulations.
Serena Wakefield.
Congratulations.
Kay Warren.
Congratulations.
Casey White.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biological Chemistry, Giles Carter.
Congratulations.
Laura Mothersole.
Congratulations.
Laura Samuel.
Congratulations.
Christopher Standham.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Biological Chemistry, Sandwich, Madeleine Andrew. For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Richard Burton.
Congratulations.
Craig Davis.
Congratulations. Well done. Congratulations.
Paul Foster.
Congratulations.
Alison Jones.
Congratulations.
Mark Naylor.
Congratulations.
Tejash Patel.
Congratulations.
Urvi Patel.
Congratulations.
David Simpson.
Congratulations.
Mark Sterinovich.
Congratulations.
Debbie Stokes.
Congratulations.
Narina Thadwell.
Congratulations.
Owen Thomas.
Congratulations. Good.
Mitash Vagela.
Congratulations.
James Watkins.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Europe, Faye Christie.
Congratulations.
Andrew Walter.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Chemistry, Sandwich, Darren Cook.
Congratulations.
Ian Grime.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Kulsum Jassat.
Congratulations.
Angela Jordan.
Congratulations.
Sabahat Loddy.
Congratulations.
Alistair Parks.
Congratulations.
Sherry Lynn Preston.
Congratulations.
Paul Skerry.
Congratulations.
Victoria Thurston.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Bachelor of Science in Geography, James Ashmead.
Congratulations.
Samuel Bettridge.
Congratulations.
Richard Bray.
Congratulations.
Joanna Cadman.
Congratulations. Thank you.
Michael Dorr.
Congratulations.
Adam Fowler.
Congratulations.
Jennifer Gibb.
Congratulations.
Joanna Griffiths.
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Gwillam.
Congratulations.
Louise Hall.
Congratulations.
Thomas Harling.
Congratulations.
Mary Jones.
Congratulations.
Caroline Keane.
Congratulations.
Michael Lambert,
Congratulations.
Christopher Morris,
Congratulations.
Philip O'Sullivan,
Congratulations.
Fiona Paley,
Congratulations.
Helen Pascoe,
Congratulations.
Andrew Peplow,
Congratulations.
Daniel Rudge,
Congratulations.
Andrew Sampson,
Congratulations.
Anthony Simmons,
Congratulations.
Alan Thompson,
Congratulations.
Emily Tuttle,
Congratulations.
Natalie Varnum,
Congratulations.
for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Geography and Archaeology, Lucy Bunting.
Congratulations.
Neil Critchley,
Congratulations.
James Finn,
Congratulations.
Ralph Forder,
Congratulations.
Thomas Hare,
Congratulations.
Richard Lee,
Congratulations.
Sarah Phillips,
Congratulations.
Julia Rea,
Congratulations.
Christopher Richardson,
Congratulations.
Paul Sutton,
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Todd,
Congratulations.
for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Physics, Christian Dean,
Congratulations.
Timothy Horton,
Congratulations.
Paul Kett,
Congratulations.
Sachit Vora,
Congratulations.
Christopher Walker,
Congratulations.
for the degree of Bachelor in Science in Physics with Astrophysics, Anna Carlson,
Congratulations.
Kalwinder Dinzer,
Congratulations.
Ewan Dinwiddie,
Congratulations.
Tristan Edwards,
Congratulations.
Matthew Franks,
Congratulations.
Helen MacDonald,
Congratulations.
Nicholas McKeon,
Congratulations.
John Sheck,
Congratulations.
Christopher Smith,
Congratulations.
Stephen Taylor,
Congratulations.
Robin Whitehead,
Congratulations.
for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Physics with Space Science and Technology, Simon Beck,
Congratulations.
Timothy Boundy,
Congratulations.
Roy Cromblehome,
Congratulations.
Toby de Berg,
Congratulations.
Helen Laird,
Congratulations.
Paul Malish,
Congratulations.
Nathan MacDonald,
Congratulations.
Jennifer Odell,
Congratulations.
Martin Perry,
Congratulations.
David Reynolds,
Congratulations.
Gavin Smith,
Congratulations.
Mark Stokes,
Congratulations.
Russell Tilsard,
Congratulations.
for the degree of Bachelor of Science in Physics with Medical Physics, Marie Drysdale,
Congratulations. Lots of support.
Syed Hassan,
Congratulations.
Mandeep Rai,
Congratulations.
Elizabeth Simpson,
Congratulations.
Catherine Wallace.
Congratulations.
For the degree of Master of Physics in Physics with Space Science and Technology, Kaido Karl.
Congratulations.
Mr. Vice-Chancellor, I ask you to admit to the several degrees for which they are presented by my faculty those candidates who are absent.
By the authority of the Senate, I admit those candidates who are absent to the several degrees for which they are presented.
Let me begin by congratulating our honorary graduates and say how pleased we are to add them to the list of Leicester alumni. It may seem that, unlike the rest of you, who've had to work hard and pass examinations, they have had an easy time of it. But I should warn them that an honorary degree is a step on the way to becoming a chancellor, and in return for the one handshake I have given them, they will have to repay it with several thousand handshakes in the future. But this is really the big day for all the others graduating today, and I offer you all my heartiest congratulations on your achievements and best wishes for the future. This is also the occasion to thank all those who have supported you in one way or another during your studies, your family, your friends, your teachers, and even your examiners. All of them can celebrate and take pride in your success. Leicester is, of course, just one of the many universities all around the world where similar ceremonies are taking place. And a common concern with scholarship and the need to benefit humanity unites them all. I've just returned from giving the invited address at what is called the commencement ceremony at the American University of Beirut in Lebanon. Oddly enough, this archaic English word for the graduation ceremony has survived in American institutions, but is no longer used in this country. It recognizes that graduation is the beginning of real life, rather than just the end of your student period. But there were other differences between Beirut and Leicester, the main one being that the ceremony there was held outdoors on the football field, and so was able to accommodate football-sized crowds. And the climate in Beirut is a little more predictable than in England, with guaranteed sunshine. But to avoid too much of a good thing, the ceremony started at 7:30 in the evening and went on till late at night. The student parties began at midnight and finished at breakfast the next morning. Football field also lent itself to informality, so that although the students were, like you, all properly attired in smart dress and gowns, they were not inhibited from waving fireworks or balloons. So perhaps the Vice-Chancellor did not altogether regret the handicaps of the English climate. Another aspect of the Beirut ceremony which the Vice-Chancellor may not wish to copy is the tradition of having a student representative give a speech from the podium. While admirably democratic in principle, it does tend to attract the aspiring politician. Certainly the student who spoke when I was there indulged in some tub-thumping oratory, complaining about the high fees the university was charging shortly before going off for his expensive champagne party. Perhaps you may wonder what I was doing in such a small and relatively obscure part of the world as the Lebanon, besides enjoying the sunshine. In fact, as my name indicates, my father came from the Lebanon, and I was brought up in various parts of the Middle East and had part of my schooling in Alexandria in Egypt. I therefore grew up in a very cosmopolitan environment, surrounded by many cultures and languages. And since I'm a mathematician, I took advantage of this opportunity by learning how to count in a dozen different languages, including such obscure ones as Amharic. I was always aware of the difficulties and tensions that a mix of cultures can produce, but I also realised that a school provides an opportunity to understand and appreciate ethnic diversity. Living in close proximity at a young and formative age enables children to learn at first hand something of the complexity of the world. And what was true for me at school over 50 years ago is now true much more widely for students at universities in many parts of the world. Certainly, one of the things that Beirut and Leicester have in common is the wide range of student backgrounds. In Beirut, this variety simply reflects the complex social fabric of the Lebanon, with its mix of Christians and Muslims of all varieties, superimposed on a trilingual culture of Arabic, English, and French. Here in Leicester, the mix partly reflects the increasing variety in the population of the UK, and partly the very large number of students who come here from abroad. In fact, if you look around the present world, one of the most notable developments is the increasing mobility of people. There are large migrations taking place for a whole host of reasons: political, economic, and demographic. In Europe, there are movements from south to north and from east to west. In America, where immigration has been going on for 500 years, there is a shift in the balance of newcomers. When I was recently in California, it was officially announced that for the first time, the percentage of the population there of European origin was now below 50%. There have been large influxes from the Far East. These are historic changes, and they can be accompanied by serious problems. Economic stress can aggravate the situation, and unscrupulous politicians can play on people's fears. We have seen recent examples in this country. It is the task of the more enlightened sections of society to diffuse tension and increase mutual understanding and tolerance in our communities. In particular, this task will fall on you, as the young generation who have benefited from a higher education. I trust and hope that your time at university has taught you not only the skills of your subject, but also how to get along with those from different cultural and ethnic backgrounds. There is no more important role for universities than to produce tolerant and enlightened citizens for the future. As you leave university, the world you enter is changing fast, not only in terms of the movement of peoples that I've been referring to, but also in terms of technology and employment. You start with the initial advantages of your degree from Leicester, but you will need to supplement this at various stages and in different ways. Some of you will acquire further skills on the job. Others will get special training. Some may go on to higher degrees or research, and some may return later to university for additional courses. To keep up with the world outside, you'll constantly have to be educating yourself. In fact, the most useful skill you can acquire at university is that of learning how to teach yourself. With libraries and the internet, with universities offering retraining programs, there are plenty of opportunities for you to keep abreast of changes, and I hope you will do so. As I said at the beginning, graduation is really your commencement. So I wish you all well. May you have fulfilling lives, both personal and professional. May you serve not only your own advancement, but also that of your community. And whatever happens, do not lose the idealism of youth, but temper it with experience and realism. I now declare this congregation closed.